Hey, welcome back to Papa's Custom Cars. As you can hear by my voice, they've got me on. I was at work and I was cleaning the bathroom, and then I was moving around some boxes, and I ended up tweaking my back. And so I had to go in, and they told me that I'm old and to stop moving things that weigh that much. So we are on the mend. It doesn't hurt as bad as it did. They've got me on steroids and some other drug for muscle relaxer so I can sleep at night. But the problem is, it's, as you can hear, it's taken my voice away, which is really weird. You wouldn't figure the two go together, but somehow they do. So today I'm just going to be doing a little bit of laid back stuff. I got my fittings for the turbo. I got my belt. So I'm just going to get these things knocked out real quick. Not a lot of talking. I'll throw in some little messages for you. But let's get to it. As I was saying in the turbo video, the lines or the fittings that I got were not the correct fittings. I ended up finding them online at eBay, and I paid about, I think it was $11 for the pair of them, if that. But they go from 1/4 inch to, I think they're quarter, to A&N fitting, and definitely makes it so that I can get these plumbed up and get a little bit closer to where I'm going. I'm debating on buying some AN fittings and shortening these lines and or changing the direction of everything, because I don't like the lines flying all the way over, mainly because we're going to have water to the turbos, we're going to have oil to the turbos, and then along with all of the piping, of course, we're going to end up with a lot of stuff right around those turbos. So I was kind of thinking A&N for everything. Anyway, sorry about the interruption there. They're going to Maverick to get us some treats. We love Maverick. It's Utah and, well, I should say the West now because they're expanding so rapidly. But it's our Buc-ee's. But anyway, I ended up finding these two fittings, and they fit real well. I already tested one, and it's perfect. It is exactly what I needed. It also has the restriction in it that required for the oil to slow it down, and that way it's all finished. So I'm going to work on finishing that. Like I said, I'm not real keen on the way these lines are running. I think I'm going to come up with a different thing or build my own where it comes off the main line and then tees underneath the manifold and comes up and out. I was also thinking of hard lining it to the center and then using the flex lines from that point over to the turbo. And that'll keep it a little bit cleaner, because underneath there I'm going to have water. I'm going to have, that I think, I'm not sure yet how I'm going to route it. I'll show you here in a minute. Let me just change the camera angle and we'll take a look and I'll show you what I'm thinking. So as I was saying, I'm looking at routing possibly the oil line up, straight up underneath this manifold, and then bringing it up to the through the side here. I'm thinking about hard lining it underneath there, and that's because underneath there we're going to have our sniper wiring. We may possibly have our water return ore in. I'm not sure yet. I do want to hard line the water along with the oil, because I think that that's a lot safer. We don't have to worry about anything happening. We do have more than one output here on the intake manifold we can swipe from. We also have the down there on the water pump that we can pull from. But you know, the way that these are shaping up, it's a very long line for what I need. This one goes clear down, around, and back over there. So this is way more. I mean, this would be fine if you're way up here or running from somewhere else. But for just this short run, I'm almost considering the hard line and then getting AN fittings and shortening these up so that they're long enough, or just where they need to be. And I was thinking of just running from the turbo right down in here through the manifold and then teeing in somewhere back here That way it's down and out of the way, and I want to go way low. And that'll help me by lowering this down to a better spot. And that way I can just pull oil the way that I really want to, and keep the installation clean. Like I said, the piping of the turbo, you're going to have your exhaust that's going to run down here. You're going to have your intake charge pipe here. Haven't decided where I'm going to get the air from yet. Probably just leave it the way it is, because I am going to leave out the inner fender wells for now, just to get everything mocked. And if I do end up putting them in, I'll put slats in them so that, or louvers in them, so that it can push out some of the heat, because we really don't need it. We've got, I can almost run the water line along here in a pipe, hard line, and then come over here across, and then from this point down here do the same thing with the water, and use the braided line, and possibly, let me grab one up here, then possibly bring in a braided line up to the water inlet, which is, that would be a lot less line than running all the way over here to the water outputs and then into the turbo. So it would lose a lot. I could run a 90-degree or something of that nature, but still, this is way too much line. I don't need this much line for water, depending upon how I run it. Like I said, I haven't really thought about where the water is going to go to. I do have some fittings that I picked up, so I can mock up the water inlet. So they fit right here in the side. Whoops, that's backwards. Probably hope I put it the right way. But these screw right into the turbo here on the sides. So you've got your inlet on one side, your outlet on the other. I've got these barbed fittings that I can use. Get this out of here real quick. And I can plumb right into it. But once again, I'm thinking of using the AN fittings. The input, I'm not sure where I'm going to come from yet, but it's got to be one of the coolest places in the car, in the engine compartment, because we want cool water running through this, and then we can go right back out where we need to. We also want to make sure that when we shut down, that the turbos do siphon water for a minute, allowing it to cool down quite a bit. I've got these extra hoses that came with my first turbo kit for the drain, but I'm going to, like I was saying before, I'm going to go blue and red on water. I'm going to go the gold. I'm going to go the gold and black to oil, with the exception, of course, of probably this one, unless I can find some smaller fittings. But this will be the oil drain, that line that'll go down to the oil pan. This particular oil pan isn't the oil pan I'm going to be running. It's in a box, and it's already piped with the turbo drain, so we're good there. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at with everything. And of course, everything's got to be, cooled down kind of stuff, but that's kind of everything. But like I was saying, these little tiny fittings are really nice. They have the restrictor already built into them, and they just screw into the top of the turbo here and go from, so it'll go to there. And then because this is hard into the engine, I think that I can get away with routing these completely different. Let me pull this out and take a look-see and see what we got here. Actually, let's grab this side and see what we can do. But I was considering bringing them around the back. Oops, get it out of there and untangle it. Put that one over there for now. But we can almost relatively simply come down along the bottom of the valve cover to come around everything. All right, get everything around there, and then come through underneath here. And once again, we're going to have to probably shorten this up. This thing is way too long. We can use some kind of stands that we can make from or fabricate from the valve covers to hold this along with the wire top, the wires. Bring it a little bit lower, and then of course wrap it so that it's not, exposed to heat. But then this will give me a nice clean place to put it, and I don't have to worry so much about if I ever have to take a valve cover off or something, I can do it without having to undo all the oil lines. So, you know, just one of the many thoughts that I have. If you've got any ideas of how you ran yours, definitely let me know. And because I'm really curious how they all did it. But then this AN line fits right into this. So we've got our oil right there. And then, like I say, we'll have our water right below it coming from the coolest place in the engine, and it'll run back to either, I haven't really figured it out or laid it out yet. Like I said, there's going to be a lot going on in this area with these turbos, so we've got to be real smart about how we run it, and I'm just kind of toying with it right now. I just wanted to make sure I had enough lines and everything that I needed to do all this fun stuff. So, but yeah, that kind of gives you an idea of what we're doing with the turbo. And I finally got these little fittings, and they're pretty neat. They're neat little fittings that work really, really well. So, like I say, everything's just kind of mocked up for right now. But I'm almost thinking, something along the nature of this, where it runs down along there. We are going to have heat shielding in this area. The turbo, the exhaust will probably end up being wrapped. If not, and along with the oil line being wrapped, because you don't want heat. Nobody wants the heat. So that's kind of where we're at with that whole thing. But that just kind of gives you an idea how we're going to route everything. Like I said, it's going to be busy in this area. And that's kind of why we'll want to separate out the colors of everything so that we know what goes to what. But like I say, this is probably the best way to run it down along here. And then it won't be in the way, and we'll figure out a way to make some brackets to hold it in place. And that way it's kind of out of the way, like it should be, like it needs to be. So if you have any suggestions on it, or you've done this before, then definitely let me know what your thoughts are. And then we'll mirror it on the other side, but this kind of gives everybody an idea of what's going on. So we'll leave that on there for now, and we'll go ahead and run this other one over to the other side, since that's where we're going to end up with it anyways. So let's get this tightened up so that at least they're in place and they're covering everything up. So that's kind of how everything's going to end up. I'm not sure, again, this will probably, either one of the two or both will be wrapped so that we don't have to worry about the heat. I do have the covers for these, and I do have the wrap for the exhaust, and these are, like I said, all this is going to get hot, so we definitely want to wrap everything we possibly can, but that kind of gives you an idea of where the water's coming from, directly from the water pump, I believe is the coolest place, or something of that nature, but we'll figure it out as we go. And then our return water is the one that's going to be hard, and that's why I'm kind of thinking hard line. Because if it's hard lined, I can run a hard line down and out of here from this side and make it a lot easier. We've got to have it on not so much of a plane, but if this output is lower than the input, then we're doing fine there. We can also come in the other way and go this way and run out that way. Either way works. The water is not a big deal. The oil, of course, we know has to be pressurized. So that's my thought now, because of fabricating it so that everything is serviceable, and that's the main thing. Is we want to be able to adjust our valves if we need to, or do anything of that nature, and or change our spark plugs. That we don't want a big mess in the way. Another way we could do it is bring it out and around and then back in this way, which is a possibility, but that seems like an awful long run when we're not running an oil cooler or anything, and we may want to consider one in the future. And if that's the case, we'll pipe off of it nice clean oil to this fitting. But that kind of gives a wrap up on the turbo installation and how we're going to do it when nothing's tight. So, but yeah, with that, some comments on if you've done one of these water cooled on your V8s, what you did. Shoot me some pictures. I'll definitely post them with the video so you guys can see it. But my voice is about had it today, so I'm going to wrap this one up and just do a short video for Wednesday. And then next week we'll be attacking another big job. We're going to be doing a tune-up, finishing up a tune-up on the on the blue truck to see if we can't save that engine. That'll wrap up the turbo. Kind of gives me a rough idea of what I want to do based on what I'm seeing so far and based on what I'm playing with. If you guys have done this on your car, do me a favor and send me some pictures, or point me to your web page or website that has pictures of what you've done, because this is going to be my first double turbo setup, and I'd be kind of interested to see how everybody else plumbed it and did all their stuff, especially with the water cooling. I haven't seen anybody with water cooling. I've seen them with oil, but never with water. And just based on the manufacturers all running a water-cooled system, this is definitely probably the way to go. So we've got our oil feed line here, oil drain line down here. It's a nice big one. I do have a pan to change. Water line's going to come from there to here, and then come out of here and go over there. I'm not sure where yet. And then our other line's plumbing. So we're going to have to shorten a lot of these lines up a considerable amount to get them to fit, but that's kind of the layout. Thinking about getting one of these that's got a fitting in it. We're going to have to use these two inlets. There are two back here that we can either go in or out of depending upon the direction of the water. So I have to read up and see if these are directional. I don't think they are. I think the water can go through one way or the other. It won't make any difference. But that's kind of it. Got my AM lines on and my AM wrench is sitting here. I'm gonna have to cut these shorter and figure it out from there. But that's kind of the layout of everything. As you can see, there's a lot going on in here. So I got to figure out a little more condensed way to do it. So that's it for this. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.